Good morning, everyone. It's Dexter from A2K, and thanks for joining us for today's webinar, Introduction to BIM Collaborate Pro. Technical lead Chad Smith will be presenting for us today. So before we start, we'll just go through about A2K. We're all about fostering innovation through consulting and training. A2K Technologies plays a vital role in helping infrastructure, building, mining, construction, architecture, and manufacturing industries reach their full potential by delivering complete technology solutions and support services such as education and consulting. We work with visionaries to shape the future of design and in turn enable them through innovation to minimize risks, improve productivities and achieve excellence. A2K Technologies is considered the business partner of choice and trusted advisor by vendors and clients. We partner with major software and hardware vendors to meet clients' technology needs. We strive to exceed client expectations by pinpointing their challenges and delivering solutions through experience and innovation. We work with clients and companies of any size nationally and abroad. Over to you, Chad.
Thanks, Dexter. Okay, good morning and afternoon to everybody today. Thank you for joining me on this session on the Autodesk Construction Cloud BIM Collaborate Pro. Now, even though we're going to focus more on BIM Collaborate Pro today, it will incorporate a little bit on the underlying technology, which is the Docs aspect and also BIM Collaborate. So, in a COVID-changed world, the challenges our industry faces, well, seems daunting. With more unpredictability and volatility, AEC businesses are looking towards cloud technologies as the new normal for design. With the cloud, it's possible to maintain business continuity so that you can work from anywhere and with insight in order to reduce risk and gain efficiencies in day-to-day operations. And you know this all too well. Last year, A2K time and time again heard from you that when your teams are disconnected, it leads to data access issues, data redundancies, and errors. You also need your connected ecosystem of tools, whether to collaborate on designs or capture feedback, or run clash detections on 2 or more models, all to enable clarity and organization. In order to better manage unpredictability and disruptions, you need to empower the team and business to flexibly adapt as requirements change. This means fewer data silos and more integrations, less restrictions and more flexibility, reduced wastage and more scalability. You want your technology investment to span multiple cases, file types, and workflows. This is possible when data is organized in a common data environment, when access levels are structured for all team members, and when exchange of information can be coordinated, even automated to make your life easier. And finally, your business needs better visibility and insights into everyday design work. Which processes are working for your teams? What communication methods to ensure round-trip resolutions? Or how to reduce the conditions for repeat errors? Insights make project management and resource allocation easier once you have the right tools for risk mitigation, resource prediction, and control. Collaboration in the industry is being significantly reshaped. Companies are investing in digitizing more than ever, but want solutions that connect more than just teams. They want to offer flexibility and provide those insights. Collaboration solutions now need to be connected. You want your team to connect with the tools and for the data to be all in one place to improve productivity and avoid rework. You want to be able to collaborate in your preferred design tools, communicate progress in real time, and manage all documentation on a single platform that's built for the AEC industry. It needs to be flexible. AEC workflows inclusive of horizontal and vertical, and providing anytime, anywhere access to the data and authoring tools. And it also needs to be powerful. With secure access of storage data, or data storage, sorry, and with data centralized in one place. Maintain data integrity and learn from analytics and insights. Design data and BIM is in Autodesk's DNA, and they're uniquely positioned to extend the value of that design data throughout the plan, build, and operate phases, letting the project data flow seamlessly across the life cycle and making it available to teams in the right place and at the right time. Autodesk's solution enables that connection to help companies move through the digitize, integrate, and optimize stages in the Autodesk Construction Cloud. And that solution comprises of several modules, connecting teams with projects and other businesses throughout the entire lifecycle from design to operations. Our focus today is on BIM Collaborate Pro, which is part of the Autodesk Construction Cloud. But Autodesk also recently announced 3 new additions in the form of Autodesk Build, Autodesk Takeoff, and Autodesk BIM Collaborate. Each of these new licenses serves a different role at their respective project stages. However, they all coexist with common modules such as Autodesk Docs for document control, Insights for analytics, and the obvious account administration. Let's now take a look at the features and workflows that applies to a designer using BIM Collaborate Pro, and later on also outlining what it means for the existing BIM 360 design users. Starting with Autodesk Docs for document control. As we would expect from a common data environment, it's at the heart of the system that manages the incoming document data for use in other workflows, such as design authoring and moving it out for construction. Docs provides anytime access to the document data so that it can be reviewed and actioned via ongoing design feedback. With a common data environment, project teams often rely on a single source of truth to speed up the collaboration process and improve document control. This means applying a solid folder structure where the documents can be published, protecting those folders with permissions, ensuring that data is accessed by the right users and at the right time, and never losing access to old document versions when newer versions are released at later stages. And speaking of document versions, understanding how project designs change over time is critical to the review process. Both 2D PDFs and 3D models are tracked via version comparisons, meaning that project users remain informed at all stages of the design. Or if your concern is regarding accountability and ensuring that everyone involved on the project is completing their tasks in a timely manner, you can create issues and markups. These features enable you to pin issues in context, collaborate with comment threads, add photos, assign work, and track open issues through to resolution. All issues are centralized into a project-wide list. Using the search and filters, or just simply browsing, this list affords an easier way to triaging the issues. And with access to reporting, those same issue details can be published to a PDF or even emailed on a recurring schedule. Having a folder structure and permissions in your common data environment, CDE, only goes so far. To enhance this further, we use document workflows. Approvals facilitates the submission of a set of documents to another user, like a design or engineering manager, for the review and approval that the documents are fit for use. Approved documents can then be released to other project users, while rejected documents remain as is until they are subsequently resolved. Transmittals creates an official digital record of documents that are electronically delivered to another user. These documents are typically those that are approved for use, so we can see the transmittals and approvals very much go hand in hand. Even though we're primarily focusing on features found in BIM Collaborate Pro, we're going to also talk about the non-pro license that was briefly mentioned towards the beginning of the session. BIM Collaborate Pro includes the features that we're going to cover under this non-pro version. So firstly, why does BIM Collaborate exist? Put simply, not all users on the project are design authors, but they still require the features that help them to view and track design changes. For those coming from a BIM 360 background, this is a huge improvement. These users can now visualize aggregated models from architects, MEP, and structural firms in one coordinated space. Navigate the model using pan, zoom, and orbit, and saving views by model combinations or levels. It now grants them the tools to essentially link models together, saving them as views which they can recall at a later time. They no longer have to rely on the design authoring team to perform these tasks for them. It also grants these non-authoring stakeholders the power to participate in the automatic clash detection process to check newly published models and visualize clashes in a matrix, which they can filter by models or by saved views. They can use the clash matrix to drill down into specific clashes where they can raise issues that are assigned back to the design authoring team. And speaking of the coordination issues, issue management is a key component to continuous collaboration. There's no need to wait for the next coordination meeting to assign issues to the project team members. Easily tag clashes as issues, assign them to the appropriate stakeholders for resolution, and input a start and due date. Then later on, track these issues in the Insight module and follow up with the responsible parties. But model coordination is not the only aspect that design reviewers need to monitor. As designs change throughout the course of a project, visualizing change and managing design iterations keeps project teams on the same page. Design leads from each discipline can package 3D views and sheets to share with the greater project team, ensuring clarity on what was changed and control over which designs are ultimately consumed. So now we level up from BIM Collaborate to BIM Collaborate Pro for the design team and their authoring process. So this is where I'll step through the main differences and similarities between the older BIM 360 design and these newer Autodesk Construction Cloud offerings. For those that are on BIM 360 design, you're probably all too aware of the fact that you have various services that run in the background. Depending on whether you are a Revit user, a Civil 3D user, or a Plant 3D user. And this facilitates the connection of that design authoring tool over into BIM 360. Those same connecting common services also now feature in the BIM Collaborate Pro license. BIM 360 Design is essentially upgraded to BIM Collaborate Pro. As we touched on previously, the BIM Collaborate license or user is not an authoring user. So therefore, they don't require these design authoring services. Hence, they are not included. We also know underneath the BIM 360 design licensing that it also provided access to the BIM 360 document management, design collaboration, and the obvious administration. Those same three BIM 360 features are also now included under BIM Collaborate and BIM Collaborate Pro. But to the advantage of these users in BIM Collaborate and BIM Collaborate Pro, this now also includes the BIM 360 model coordination and BIM 360 insights. The model coordination in particular previously featured under a different additional cost license, and that is now included underneath these newer licenses. However, what we've covered there at the moment is purely addressing the legacy BIM 360 functionality. We're talking about Construction Cloud. So underneath these newer BIM Collaborate and BIM Collaborate Pro, they now include the newer Autodesk Construction Cloud equivalents. I need to make this clear. BIM 360 and the newer Construction Cloud are separate platforms. They don't connect to each other. They run independently, but they share at this point in time very similar functionality. So therefore, when coming in at the BIM Collaborate or BIM Collaborate Pro level, you now get access to the old and the new with very similar functionality. However, the development paths will diverge and head down different directions. If we look at it in a slightly different way, we can see here that we've got a blue line with designers on the top side and reviewers on the lower side. We can see for the designers, that is the design authoring team, they will typically use a BIM Collaborate Pro license because as we just saw, it connects into the design authoring products of Revit, Civil 3D, and Plant 3D. For the reviewers, they have two options. One of those is the BIM Collaborate, as we've just discussed. It provides them with the document access and access to the models so that they can aggregate and participate in the model coordination process. But it also introduces the Autodesk Docs aspect. This is a new entry-level feature, which is now included with the AEC collection. This provides an AEC collection license holder, irrespective of the design products they use, that entry level into the newer Construction Cloud Autodesk Docs space. So that way they can now access files, but maybe not participate in that greater BIM coordination and live aspect. BIM Collaborate Pro adds powerful Revit Cloud Worksharing technology that enables real-time Revit work sharing virtually anywhere, even with the most modest of internet connectivity. Revit models are synced back to the Construction Cloud platform. From there, files are packaged and shared with other design team members. This could include both models and sheets, depending on what needs to be shared. Those other design teams then view the contents of the shared data and then optionally consume it into their own design workflow. This process ensures that design files remain on the platform and never having to be downloaded or uploaded other than the initial instance that they were put up there. And for both Civil 3D and Plant 3D, the design integration follows a more simple workflow. Both design authoring products connect natively into the platform, ensuring users are working from a single source of truth and with automated file locking that helps control sequential file access. And lastly is Insight for the dashboarding and analytics. It is data-driven, with Autodesk Docs being the foundation of BIM Collaborate and BIM Collaborate Pro. It aggregates project data across the entire lifecycle to give users a clear picture into project performance, allowing them to make quicker and more informed business decisions and to predict issues before they become costly. With the prediction and analytics capabilities of the Insight module, it presents the data in a unified project home, dashboards and reports, and partner data integration. These features help teams manage risk by giving them personalized visibility into their daily priorities. We're going to take a brief live overview of some of these features that I've covered. With so many attendees online today, I'm sure that there will be many that have never seen the newer Construction Cloud or even the older BIM 360 workflows. And for those of you that are already on BIM 360, this will no doubt give you a little bit of a better feel for some of the subtle differences of the Construction Cloud compared to BIM 360. So I've got a couple of tabs open in my web browser at the moment. This is where we do most of our interaction with the Construction Cloud, just as we did in BIM 360, with the exception of if we're working in a design authoring tool, which obviously you would be working in it and having it connect through to the platform. The interface is somewhat similar, again, for those that are familiar with BIM 360. There is a selector up here, which gives us direct access to each of these modules that I've just talked about. And within each of those modules, they then have some tabs for the features that you may interact with. I'm going to focus more so on the folder structure here, whereby if I expand out my working folder, we can see that we've got a number of design teams that are participating using BIM Collaborate Pro. If I drill down into one of those teams, I'm going to pick on the structures team today. We can see within their folder, they have previously uploaded their Revit model, and that model has been what we call published a few times already. It's up to version 4. We also talked about the fact that we could package design information using the design collaboration feature so that we can distribute our design information with other design teams. So we can see here that we additionally have a shared folder where shared information would be put into, and as part of a design collaboration process, that shared information is ultimately then consumed by each of those working design teams. If we were to look at this from a design collaboration aspect, and I have another tab open up the top here with it already loaded, this is where both BIM Collaborate and BIM Collaborate Pro users can now interface with the activities of the design teams. We can see that we have a swim lane timeline up towards the top that has a number of different teams that are obviously going to be working away on their work in progress design files. On the timeline, we can also see with some level of transparency and granularity as to when those teams are packaging and releasing or sharing their information amongst themselves. Early on within the project, we can see here, obviously, there may be a little bit more activity as things sort of get resolved within those first days, maybe within the first week, things like linking and sharing coordinates, if these were Revit models. But then with time, those different teams may then subsequently release additional information. From the perspective of the structural team, they can see on the timeline that recently the architectural team has shared a package of information. This provides that design team the ability to click into this package and then to further explore the contents. Let's see, not too sure why that's highlighted yellow at the moment, shouldn't be. But otherwise, we can see the model so that we can navigate it. Looks like it's stuck within my last show changes. That's right, I'll start to look at that for the moment. We can view the model. And in addition to the model, we can also view any sets of drawings that they may have included with this package, providing a set of drawings as well. If the structural team, upon reviewing the architectural shared package, decides that this looks like an appropriately updated set of models and drawings, they can then choose to consume that package back into their own structural workflow, which would then subsequently be used as a link in their own work in progress models. Alongside the design collaboration process amongst those design teams is also the ability to have maybe coordination meetings so that they can track when changes occur or discuss those changes amongst each other and have it documented. And also in beta, and this is probably more so for the existing BIM 360 users, is a new beta feature which they call watch groups, that allows us to basically set up a little notification system to identify how many and what has changed with these models without having to look at these changes in other parts of the Construction Cloud functionality. Now, as the design team continues their work, they can at times obviously be publishing documents. Drawings, sheets, if you will. Those drawings can then be published down into a different folder if need be. These have been published as PDF files, and these PDF files have also been through an approval workflow so that we can see which documents are approved for use and maybe which others are not. Also working with these work in progress models and as part of this ongoing release of information and the evolution of the design, let me just jump back over to the work in progress folder and go back into the structural folder where we will now open up the structural model, utilizing the Forge model viewer that Autodesk developed and is in much of their products these days, their web-based products. We can see that this particular model has some issues raised, which we can browse in the issues list over on the left-hand side. And when these are resolved, we can go over to the status and close them out. Or if we want to better understand how this model has been changing with time, we can subsequently use the compare tool, where I'm going to compare the current version, being version 4, with the past version. This will take probably 5 or 10 seconds at most. I'm done now to load this up, and we can now more clearly see any elements that have been modified, any elements that have been removed, and any elements that are new. Also, we can also tell how things are modified as well. So when we do select the yellow objects, we can see here that this foundation actually changed size. But for other objects such as this, this edge foundation here, we can see that it's fairly large, but it is highlighting that something has changed. And if we look very, very closely, in this case here, the edge of this beam here or this foundation has actually subtly been modified, but it has identified it and it is providing us with the tools to interrogate it further. So now that that design process is moving forward, we can obviously do some model aggregation and do some clash checks. This introduced that last aspect, which is the model coordination. Again, the model coordination is actually a feature of both BIM Collaborate and BIM Collaborate Pro. And this is new to the Construction Cloud platform, something that BIM 360 formerly never had for users who simply needed to review the model information. There's a couple of aspects to it. One of them could be that maybe we would like to aggregate some services together. Maybe we want to aggregate it together with maybe the structural information. Simply selecting the files that we want without having to be a design author and utilizing those design tools, simply via the web browser, we can view those selected models stacked on top of each other. Now, when we do this, we also have the ability to save this combination as what we call a view. And we can see when I go over to my views tab that I have a couple of saved views. In this case here, just individual services that were matched to the structural model. It is from here that I could click through to one of those to view the aggregated models and to view any clashes that may be occurring between them. But if we're talking about clashes, we can alternatively go back to the Models tab where we can see a clash counter over on the right-hand side. It's the number of total clashes that are occurring with that particular file against all other files. But if we want to get a little bit more granular and understand against which other files those clashes are occurring, then we can simply go to the clashes tab on the left. I may just have to do a browser refresh. Sometimes they do time out. So we'll just give this a quick refresh and that should load that matrix. Okay, there we go. So now we have a matrix whereby, excuse me, whereby the models are being clashed against all other models. And we can now identify, let's say, for the structure, we come across, using the little tooltip there, we can see that this particular cell is clashing against the mechanical model. We can now click through into this, just giving it a moment to load this up. It does load two separate models, so it does have a little bit of information that it has to load up. So hopefully this is not going to take too much longer. Okay, so the first one is loaded. And there's the second. Okay, so we get a top-down view that we can navigate and we can start seeing in a little bit more detail where those clashes are occurring. And not only that, but using the clash results panel on the left-hand side, we can get a little bit more detail about them as well. From here, utilizing the Autodesk Docs issues feature that we covered in the PowerPoint, we can go ahead and create an issue over the top of that, provide the information and have it published. So that was just a brief overview as to what this new Construction Cloud looks like. As I said, for those that are coming from BIM 360, it's actually quite similar in the way that it's presented. Some of the features are certainly different, so it's the same but different. And for those that have never seen BIM 360 in the past and are coming to this from a Construction Cloud perspective, I hope that gives you a little bit of a visual feel for how the product actually works. With so many attendees online today, we anticipated many questions, most of which we would not be able to actually get through today. So instead of a live Q&A session, we have gathered 2 Autodesk FAQ links that have answers to many of the common questions that we know you're going to have. I'd recommend taking a screenshot of this, or maybe using your phone to take a photo, or alternatively, I have put those links already into the chat window that you should be able to access. For any questions which these pages cannot answer for you, and there are quite a few FAQ questions on these pages, then you are more than welcome to reach out to us via email, which I'll get to in a moment. We're always running events like this, so please do reach out to us via the A2K Technologies events website. That is a2ktechnologies.com.au/events. And lastly, as I said, if those FAQ articles that Autodesk have written don't answer those questions, or maybe if you would like to get an internal presentation of the Construction Cloud with BIM Collaborate Pro specifically, then by all means, reach out to us at info@a2ktechnologies.com.au. So with that, I thank everybody for joining me on this session today. Hopefully you now know a little bit more about what the Construction Cloud is, and specifically BIM Collaborate and Collaborate Pro. And I wish you all a great day.